So this video pertains to testing and achievement, and I first want to talk about teacher-made test and what's called low-stakes testing, which will be frequent teacher-made tests pertaining to lessons and units. So the slideshow is going to address the following question: what are the effects of frequent low-stakes testing on student achievement? And this question interested me after I saw an article in the New York Times this past summer by Roediger, and it was an opinion piece in the New York Times, and it really kind of contradicted what people had been saying about tests, that these high-stakes tests are restricting the curriculum and it's driving what is taught in schools and all the negative issues that have been associated with tests. So the Roediger piece was interesting to me because he said that there are positive effects to teacher-made tests as opposed to standardized national or statewide tests. And the argument he put forth was, with his claims and evidence, was quite convincing, and it had me rethink my thoughts about testing, at least for middle and secondary school. Just one other quick anecdote, and I'll go through the slideshow. For years, I taught with a colleague at another institution who began each of his classes with a quiz. And I think he spent 10 to 15 minutes giving a quiz and then reviewing the previous day's quiz. So I always thought in my mind, gee, that's a waste of time, and you really shouldn't be doing that. But professionally, you don't say that unless you know someone real well. So in a nutshell, the Roediger piece confirms what my colleague said, that he was probably on the right track, and I might have been thinking incorrectly. So anyhow, now I'll go right to the Roediger piece. So he had a series of studies, he or she had a series of studies looking at this classroom testing improved learning. Is a test-enhanced learning program effective in middle school? And does it work throughout the disciplines? And then the theoretical framework for testing is that theorists argue that the process of retrieving information improves memory. So if you experience something and never touch it in your memory, or some people, say such as me, I would forget it. But if I do something with that experience, if I think about it, I write about it, analyze it, talk about it, I'm more likely to remember it because I'm retrieving the information. And that's all. Then the active retrieval improves retention. I think with MRIs and all the new science about the brain, we've studied connections between various parts of the brain. They call them neural pathways. And the more you retrieve some information or use information, the stronger those pathways become. So the theoretical framework is pertaining to testing is that the more you retrieve something and analyze it and think about it, the stronger the pathway and the better the memory. And then the third part of the theoretical framework is that feedback to students' quiz attempts improves their learning and retention. That's provided that they act on it in some way. Just giving them feedback without them talking about it or revising their thoughts will not be helpful. So here's the study. I won't go into detail other than 406 7th and 8th grade students. And this was a well-resourced school where this and his other studies took place, where you could see 75% of the children went on to higher education. They used an experimental design study where some kids received frequent tests and some didn't. Control an experimental group, and Roediger used multiple choice questions to assess students' understanding. And this is how the study went. Units were presented through textbooks. He established baseline data. And then as soon as a lesson or a unit was over, there was a quiz. 2 days later, there was another quiz. And at the end of the semester, an exam on the same material. So there's actually 3 assessments of that material in the lesson or unit. And what were the results? And then they had a group of students who did not take those tests. The results: students better remember info when it's previously assessed. The effect was shown to be consistent for up to a year. And students typically improved their performance from the range of 75% to 90%. Skip that slide. So discussion. A test-enhanced learning environment can be implemented successfully in classrooms. It works well in all subjects, particularly where there's a fact-based foundation needed, such as in math, history, science. I think it would work in others too. That's how the author posed it. Student quizzing improves students' metacognitive knowledge and thinking. And here's the key points. Low pressure testing makes learning stronger and embeds it more securely in students' learning. Tests serve students best when they're integrated into regular business of learning, and the stakes are not make or break as in standardized testing. Retrieving knowledge from memory is beneficial when practice sessions are spaced out, so that some forgetting occurs before you try to retrieve it again. So space out makes you put the information in your long-term memory. Low-stakes testing improves learning, and students benefit from retrieval practice. And then finally, students in classes with a regular routine of quizzes that are not low stakes remember and carry their learning forward more than classes without that routine. So the implications for middle and secondary school teachers, that low stakes frequent testing would work and shown to be effective and more effective than not. Now, there could be issues that maybe instead of using quizzes and tests, there's other ways to assess students' knowledge, and that's a legitimate argument. And so students could write essays, say, but that was not part of the study. But assessment, informal low-stakes assessment is really important. In the case of this study, it was quizzes.